Paint with Steve, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Steve Tracy Gallery. I'm painting outside today. They call this plein air. Unfortunately, I have the camera directed in one position. Right behind this canvas is this scene right here. Okay, so put it close to the camera. And so there you have, this is my front yard. So the smallest shape of the three values that I'm going to render would be the white shape or the light shape. The next size would be the dark, and the largest is going to be the mid-tone. That's the equation I'm going to paint today. Okay, so I'm going to put this up here, tack it on my easel. It might move around a little bit, but just want to say welcome everyone. I hope you're having a safe and good summer, and that you're all social distancing and being good to each other. Anyway, so I'm going to start off with I have the same palette that I had last week, and I'm outside, so here's the palette here. Oil paints. Okay, and I'm using a number 6 filbert brush. I think what I'm going to do is lay in my white shape first. This might blow around a little bit. Here, let me get another tack here. Put it in right here. Okay, so adjust my easel. Okay, so we're going to lay in the white shapes first. I painted a yellow ochre background with a little bit of green. So it's a little bit darker. So I'm going to lay in my white shape first. And I'm using an off-white. And so I'm just going to lay in this maple tree that is being lit by the sun and going into shade. And then this white shape in here, this is the shadow of the tree canopy. There's a little bit of rim light here. And every little bit of white shape is important because it's so small. Now on your screen, the green up here, well, it probably looks pretty white, but it's a mid-tone. So these are all part of my white shape footprint. These are a couple of rocks I placed in my garden. I'm going to add one extra one just to increase the white shape presence. I hope you all are having a thriving summer. I hope all your families are safe. There will be one more class after this, and then I'm going to take a little bit of a break. However, you'll be able to refer on my Facebook page at the Steve Tracy Gallery these classes. So please visit them, tell your friends, and you could take your time painting. and learn how to paint. We may resume. I'm getting busy. We're as phase 2 is kicking in. The galleries that represent my work are beginning to ask for paintings now, and so I need to answer that call. But we might resume later as an offer, a paid class to some of those that would like to continue painting on a little more professional basis. And so I'm just laying in my white shapes here. And so my white shape footprint is small. I'm not going to, there's a bird feeder. I'm not going to put that in. But there are some clover blossoms. Those are going to be, that's going to be clover blossoms. Okay, so I'm going to paint those in. And here's some lighter dirt. I actually planted some flowers over here. We're having a beautiful day in Southwest Ontario. And I hope all of you are enjoying the outdoors. Right now is probably some of my favorite times of the year with the lovely, lovely weather. You can hear the wild birds in the background probably a little bit. Of course, now they're stopping, but there's an airplane. So I'm going to just paint in my light shape. Okay, and now I'm going to paint in my mid-tone greens. And I want to use a gray-green so I have my Gorschner grays mixed with next to my palette, so I can easily just dip into those whenever I want. And so right now I'm just using this is a darker gray-green, and I'm going to lay in all of my mid-tone, light mid-tone greens. This is definitely a green scene. Just tons of green, but man, do we look forward to this in the winter time, right? So just going to go ahead, and my filbert brush here can, when I press down on it, it gives me almost a 1-inch unloading width. I love the filbert brushes. Okay, so just going in with this green, going to quickly paint in all of the mid-tone. It's a light mid-tone green. One thing about painting outdoors is the bugs. And where I live, there's a lot of bugs. So this is more gray here, but that's okay. The value is more important to me than the temperature, because within the value is going to be your design. And if you really want it to be psychedelic, you know, this could be orange for that matter. But I'm going to keep it pretty traditional. Sometimes when you're painting outdoors, you get little bugs that come onto your painting, and they land on the wet paint and they stick there, and they dry into the canvas. They dry on the canvas. I call those my witnesses. They're my witnesses that I painted outdoors. I don't know what is crawling in my hair, but one time when I first came to Canada, it was summertime. I went down by a river and set up my easel. I was right near all the grasses. The grasses were real tall, and I was moving, moving around, setting up and everything, and then as soon as I kind of stood still, started to paint, the bugs all came out, and I was trying to concentrate, and I did bring some bug spray, but it was almost too much. So right in here, there's some ferns. I'm going to paint around those. I think what I'll do is, with the help of our technical assistant, our creative technical assistant, is post the photograph as well, so that you can see it. If you're going to paint from it, you might want to paint from that. Okay, so this is painting in. This is just a long span of high brush, mainly weeds, but it's okay. And then we have, dipping into my gray-green, and we have these trees in here. Oops, it's a little bit too gray. Let's add more green. Want to keep this bottom edge here where the shadows of these larger, younger trees are growing. We're going to attach to this midtone in a dark shade. Okay, and want to keep random, keep that brush moving. Yeah, because we have a lot of what I call acreage to plow. You got to fill this canvas with paint. Okay, maybe I'll go a little bit darker over there. That's where it's going into shadow a little bit more in here. Just different strokes for different folks. Okay, so still got to go over here and on the left-hand side here. Now this is going to be a little bit, this is going to be quite a bit darker. I'm going to go ahead and make this real dark in here. Hear that bird in the background. What's neat about when you're painting outdoors, it's so peaceful, is that you become a naturalist. You become very observant of the wildlife and nature. And a lot of plein air painters are advocates for conservation. They want to keep that beauty. Okay, just painting in. That's going to probably be darker later. On the left-hand side here, I'm going to keep it kind of gray. Okay, in between these trees. So I did draw out, as you can see, I did draw out this scene a little bit with a pencil. That helps before you paint, just to work out any problems with the structure of the composition. Yeah. How do you guys like my, well, it's not, my painting sped up. Our creative strategist does that. She does such a nice job. It reminds me of the Keystone Cops. Remember that from some of you boomers out there? Anyway, I think it's kind of neat looking when you speed it up. It's like, my gosh. You can actually start something and finish something. Okay. It looks like there's great possibilities. You're going to paint this lighter green. One nice thing when you have green in your brush, you don't really have to clean it too much when you go into different values because it's all going to be green. So this would be called a monochromatic painting, being same color and different chroma levels of value. Okay, and then we do have, let me see, I want to work on the canopy up here. So the canopy is going a little bit darker. Look into my gray-green. Okay. So that's almost like a mauve or a mauve. Mauve or mauve. However you want to say it. There is some dead trees behind this little patch that is kind of picking up a mauve look with the dead branches. So, like I said before, when you just paint one stroke in that tone, you're painting 10,000 branches or 1,000 branches. They're all dried. Okay, so we're going to do another. That's going to be another tree trunk. And there's not a lot of browns in here, but there is some browns. Do a brown there. Okay. And let's do just for balance. Let's do some brown there. Okay. Almost not a word. I guess it is a word. That's I'm pausing to paint. It's so pleasant out here. It's so relaxing. Okay, so just going to paint some accent browns here, just here and there. This is a split rail fence. It'll be much darker than that. Okay, so let's go into, wait, not yet. Let me go into, keep my mid-tone greens. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and keep that brush moving, keep that brush moving. When you keep the brush moving, it is a painting. It has a painterly look. You want that painterly look. Painting between the lines, between the tree trunks. They're basically just lines, but I'm going to make those lines into tree trunks. Okay, so I still got to plow the rest of my acreage. That's what I like to say, because when you're plowing, you do a lot quickly, right? I might put in some blue coming in into the sky here, coming down, just because I think that would be a pretty, uh, just a pretty indicator of such a nice summer day. Well, spring day. Summer doesn't start for another till the 22nd of June, right? Okay, some gray-green up in here. And it's okay if it's a little off color. I mean off being compared to the color next to it. Just a different field of color. If your brushes keeps on moving as you're laying it in, you're not going to be painting in geometry. And you want to avoid geometry because geometry is order, and order kills the aesthetic. Unless you're doing windows, and we all know that you don't do windows. That's a joke. Remember that? I clean the house, but I don't do windows. Okay, so yeah. I want to say hello to my friends in Colorado. Hello, everybody. I know one of my friends, Janelle, she's a painter in Colorado, a great painter. Thank you for posting your work. By the way, make sure that you tell your friends and please post your work on my Facebook page. And let me see what you've done. And let the world see. It's a great vehicle to showcase. Okay, so I'm still plowing through the acreage, getting that done over here. Okay, so I went into some bright green, but that's okay. We can bring some of that over here. Okay, what is really nice about when we shot this photograph this morning or this afternoon as I set this up, and I just said to my wife, I said, can you believe we live here? We are so grateful, so thankful to God for giving us this ability to be able to live in this beautiful setting. Okay, so painting. Okay, so now I'm gonna come in with my darker shapes. Well, let me finish some of my white shapes before I do that. I'm gonna wash out my brush so that my white shapes don't turn green. Go back into my tan. Now, as I'm painting these stripes here, I don't want them to be perfect. So I'm painting them a little wonky. And wonky is a better design than perfect. Okay, so just paint them wonky. I like that word, wonky. Okay, so I'm going to increase this field in here, just make that a little bit more wonky as well, because I don't want it to be perfect. Okay, and I'll be adding more lighter greens here on the bottom. I'm just going to scratch my neck because I think there's something crawling up the back of it. Okay, so going back in now to the darker greens. Here we go. Oh, darker green in here. And there is darker green in this foliage field here. Foliage field. Okay, I just don't want to think too much, because when I start thinking too much, I start painting in order. I want to avoid that order. Keep that brush moving. Okay, so these are just little little baby plants. This area seems like if it's a seed and it falls on the ground, it grows. It doesn't matter what it is, it just starts growing. Everything grows here, even the weeds. Yep, so just doing some of this darker color here. And then further away, I'm going to go into this neat gray. I'm just going to add some fields of gray back in here. Those are just recessed parts of the forest. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up some of this in here too. Okay, now my fence posts are, I'm going to make them blue. And that's because they're reflecting the blue sky. I don't know if you can see that. I have to look over at the screen to see that sometimes. Okay, so there you can see that. I see it's going. It's going in there. And some of that, let me take some of that blue, mix it into my gray. And I'm going to place it on this tree here. And where else can I put it? Let's go over here. And let's do this one here. Now these are, I'm making these calls myself just to balance off the color of the blue. And we're going to make some of these blue in here. Okay, still painting in the darker green. This is a clump of hostas. And hostas are very popular in Canada. They grow very well. Like I said, everything grows here. And they're a big broad leaf. They grow so easily, and they're so rich. They do like shade. Okay, so here are some of these plants in here. I'm just dragging the dark shape across to the grass. That's shadow. Those are ferns in here. Okay, so I'm going to go back into my brighter green. And this is beyond the fence. Okay, so I can see that I'm getting ready to paint in the darker shapes of the trees. That's going to be I'm using, I like to use, excuse me, deep purple. And so that's the shadow side of the tree. I mixed dioxide purple with gray. And dioxide purple, it looks black when it comes out of the tube. And just spinning my brush towards the left to unload it to the left side of that tree trunk. Okay, I want to watch the evenness of those tree trunks. Okay, so this tree trunk right here, we want that to be partly dark as well. Now again, I'm letting my yellow ochre come through the background. So that's another tree across the little road. That's a road right here. Okay, and let's do the same thing with here. That's pretty dark. I might be able to knock it down a little bit. Okay, make these dark. So my dark shape is going to be the second, it's going to be twice as big as the light. So it's got to grow. Okay, so it's got to grow. And let's go ahead and make this all one field. I can put that in, put grays in there. This is all kind of a purple dark color. Let me go into some brown. I'm dipping my brush into some solvent just to give it so that it's going to extend the color that's on the brush, the dark color. That's where the sun's hitting the bottom of the tree trunk. Okay, so just going into paint in. Okay, so that's the split rail fence. And I'm, like I said, I'm kind of going wonky, keep it kind of wonky. Okay, so let's go darker right in here. Okay, so now I'm going to add in more green, more darker greens. Big brush strokes. Yeah, so I'm really just unloading the brush with big strokes. And the same over here. I basically have my composition in, but now I'm just continuing to state my dark shape. So that's what I'm doing. You're stating your dark shape. And even though I'm painting trees, I'm thinking, what is the design of that dark shape? And how does that dark shape overall feel as a design? Okay, so we got more of this canopy. It's kind of like an umbrella coming around the tops of these trees. These trees aren't too old. I'd say that they're probably about 50 years old. Okay, so we're also increasing the darken here. And as I paint wet on wet, the brush begins to pick up the lighter value and it turns into a mid-tone. Okay, so we're going to bring on top of this split rail fence some of these little bushes. That's what that is. Okay, so going back over here. Well, you know, I'm seeing that I could probably come in here with a palette knife and really have a lot of fun with it. So I'm still laying in my dark shape. And let me finish over here on this tree trunk. Get that painted because that's unpainted. And if it's unpainted, it's unplowed. Okay. So I'm going to wash my brush. And re-dip it into my, restate my white shape a little bit. Got a cat here. I have a cat. And, okay, so I'm just making that a wonky shape. Okay, I'm just going to restate this on the tree. That's a light shape. That's where the sun is coming through, kind of spotty. Okay, and I'm going to restate some of my greens on my grass. Oop, got a bug in there. Okay, just kind of going random. And I gotta touch my, I gotta finish my hosta. So this brush makes good hosta shapes. Number 6 filbert. Kind of like big plates. Okay, and still, okay, I think I'm going to come in with my palette knife and have fun with that. So I'm going to restate, I want to go back into my darks. And so at this stage, I'm just going to restate my darks. Okay, so it's, when it unloads unevenly, which gives you a nice organic feeling to it. And depending on how much you press down on it, will determine how much, if you unload it in a mass. Okay, so let's put in some darker shapes in here. Yeah, so these are the bushes behind the these are the darker bushes behind the lighter bushes that are in front of it. Okay, and this is ferns. And we some green plants in front of it. And may not be exactly like what I see. Okay, so and keep it on. This is a lighter green shade for where the sun is hitting the tops of these younger trees. A really nice cool breeze right now. Yeah, right now we're having just a kind of a cool day. I'm bring in some of that. Oops, I'm gonna clean my palette now. And I think I'm gonna take this green that I just mixed, and this is going to become part of the grass. Okay, so I could be growing my white shape a bit more than I intend to. So I'm just going to maybe kind of keep it more mid-tone. And just laying in different textures, it just adds, it's what I call information. Just something to look at. Okay, these are the smaller weeds and brushes that are kind of just hugging the road here. Don't want too much darkness in there because it's all pretty much lit by the sun. Okay. Kind of go sideways when you can't go horizontal or vertical. Oh yeah, horizontal. Getting my horizontals and verticals confused here. Okay, and there's some nice bright greens behind here that are coming through the trees. Now I did say I was going to put some blue in there, didn't I? And I think I will. Just a little more green. There's some kind of yellow green in here. Just a little bit of color. Bring some off to the top. And let's do some of that yellow green right over here. The focal point is going to be over here to the right. So I'm going to intensify that yellow green right there where the focal point is. And that's going to nail the focal point. Just make it dominant. Some yellows in there, little friends. How about a few yellows in here? Okay, and let's come in with some blue. So blue skies coming through here. just a little bit, little dabs coming through the thousands and thousands of trees, right? Get another clean paper towel. After a while, the one paper towel gets full of paint. Okay, so just little dabs of blue, heavier on top because the trees are getting thinner. A bit more over here. Okay, and now I'm going to restate my white shape in on the road. On the road again. And this is definitely textural. I'm coming with a brighter white. Well, I got wonky. Okay, so let's touch the rock. Get some pieces. And let's touch some of this tree. And some of this tree. Ooh, that's really white on there. But that's okay. It's part of the white shape. Okay, and let's also, where there's a little bit of white dirt coming up above that split rail. And there you go. I think we're coming to a point where we can say it's looking pretty well developed. I want to darken that split rail right where it's going towards my focal point. There. And also where these hostas. I want to come in with my brush. And dip it into, I'm basically using sap green. Okay, and it's going to touch some of that tree trunk. And some of this white tree trunk. And I think we need to bring some sun onto these trees here. And let's bring in some brighter greens right in here. Now, remember when I said blooming clover? So we can do that in white. So that's, I like how it just hit the tooth of the canvas. Right now it's about the size of, it's the right size, but I could, oh, could make a mistake, but that's okay. What's more important than is it clover is it's part of the white shape design. And I definitely want to keep that white shape design intact. So I have this nice gray, which is looking like a friend to the white shape. And also this bright white green. And just touching the hostas. And I guess I think I'm going to bring some of that bright green behind here, right in here. That's where these plants, these weeds and brushes are in the sunlight, the bright sunlight. Okay, so I would say that I'm getting pretty close to where I'm going to stop here. But I just want to tweak it. I'm going to take some lighter green and these are my dahlias. I planted them over there. Let's put one in front. Let's put one in front of this tree trunk. And let's do a couple of white tree trunks right in here. But those are more like little saplings, right? Okay, well, I think that I'm nearly done here for this little study. Okay, so I think next week I'm going to do the same thing. I've enjoyed this so much. Now, I highly recommend that you practice painting outdoors. It is so much fun. You'll definitely record a moment in time. And there's nothing like this moment right now that I'm spending with you. I want you all to know that I care for you, and I hope that you all are safe and you have some love in your life. And I want to say God bless you all. And I'm very grateful to be here with you today. And I hope you had a good time. And that's it. Thank you for joining me on Paint with Steve today. I hope to see you next week for our last class of the springtime. And we'll probably resume again soon. But please keep in touch with us on Facebook at the Steve Tracy Gallery. And we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye for now.